machine. Aluminum.
Emmanuel Akandirike has...
Good evening. The machine is so beautiful. The machine is so serene. Memories. I remember an announcement at a meeting being told that henceforth all meetings would be paperless. It was a moment of clarity, conflict, and realization for me. It was clearly good to reduce the amount of paper used within the university. It was a practical way of undermining jokes about the trees having to die for a meeting to happen. It would also actively address my buildup of redundant sheets of A4 paper that seemed important at the time and somehow did not make their way either into my idiosyncratic archive for really important papers or the recycling bin. I pointed out that this was a great idea and asked whether devices to facilitate the paperless revolution would be handed out. Considering that neither notebook nor tablet computers were being supplied for use, I was wondering where the paper would disappear to. Also, personal equipment was not insured for official use. The implication was an expectation that personal equipment paid for by the owner would be put to official and business use. It was as if there was no longer personal space as far as the university was concerned. Anything could be mooted. It was up to the individual to reject. The extension of the formal workspace into personal time has happened so smoothly that most people do not question its presence. And using an employee's resources falls into that category. For those in positions of power within business, and most things are supposed to run like a business these days, it is expected that all things will be paid for by the business enterprise, from phones to phone bills, official cars to residences, personal support to convenience of travel. The same is now expected of all individuals. The goals and services should be the same. The question of time. I'm going to argue that a new type of time is emerging in relationship to technology. It has always been the case that technological developments have emerged and moved into dominance because they extend the ability of human beings with regards to what they can do within a given period of time and at a particular level of comfort. So, if a shovel makes it easier to dig a hole rather than scraping at the ground with one's hands or even a stick, then the ability to dig a hole has been increased, reducing the amount of time it would take to make a hole in the ground. It is arguable that the time saved in digging the hole should be given over to the person who would otherwise spend more time digging. Of course, this is not the case. The increase in efficiency is not seen as a gift to the hole digger. Rather, it is an excuse to make more or larger holes, and in the process convince other people of their need and greater need for holes. Close to home. It is easy to deny the negative impact the myth of technology is having on the African continent. As is sold a savior and great leveler in a ceaseless march towards developed status. The glitz of the finished product, fabulously out of reach for most people globally, is held as bait towards technological compliance. Technology and technological devices are themselves superb in their ability to divide society along the lines of those who can afford their presence and those who cannot. This disparity is apparently balanced by the purported benefits those who do have access to technology achieve for themselves. From instant and available communication, digital cash, opportunity for distance learning, improved productivity, or simply feeling that one is part of a larger community of digitally connected individuals. Yet, at over $1,000 for a new iPhone X, joining the handheld information highway soon ceases to be a necessity if it renders living and eating impossible. Clearly, new generation mobile devices will eventually replace desktop and laptop computers for most people. So access to these devices will become crucial in rendering information and computer technology available to as many people as possible. So ownership or real access to these devices will have to be resolved. According to BankServe Africa Disposable Salary Index, as of May 2017, The nominal average salary in South Africa is 13,958 rand, which transfers to about 863 euros per month, with a nominal salary being 10,236 rand, which is 633 euros. However, the report admitted that only 14% of incomes calculated for were over 4,000 rand, which is 247 euros per month or below. What this means is that the figure above is severely skewed towards an optimistic representation of income within the country. Information for the city of Johannesburg, however, places the mean income within the city at 29,400 rand per year, meaning 2,450 rand per month, which is 151 euros per month. All these figures will make sense in a moment. At current rates of exchange, this means that a new iPhone, without the cost of running the device on a monthly basis, is close to half the annual average income in the city of Johannesburg. It is possible and appropriate to point out that there are alternatives to any singular device. But this will not address the continuing question of what it means to have access to top-line technology at any given point, rather than waiting for obsolescence and rejection of technologies in the West to provide access within the continent, ready or not. Whether we like it or not, all we do going forward, whether physically or virtually, will be defined by our digital understanding and capability. We therefore have to start thinking of and theorizing what is going to supersede the digital age. Otherwise, we will remain at the behest of those that currently own and are able to control all that appears with the current digital realm. With the present level and concentration of control of all things technological in a few hands globally, the same few will continue to overly influence both thought and production of what the digital imagination, conceptualization, and realization should be. It is obvious that technology is not benign. It is culturally defined. And those that control it will seek to control those that use it. Extensive contracts just to use a phone is a case in point. So for all of you with iPhones, whenever you upgrade your operating system, you have to say yes before you can use your phone. Otherwise, you just end up with a piece of glass and metal. My first Nokia came in a box. I remember it fondly. That was it. No contract, no obligation. I paid, I used. One inevitable transition of technology will be everyday body augmentation. If the current interface between providers and users remains static, then suppliers of technology will soon seek to own at least parts of human beings and their bodies. The time for revolution. The time for revolution has arrived. It is not that people are not aware of what a world fashioned on equity for all should look like, nor are they blind to their own complicity with systems that systematically undermine their own existence. Yet, the call for revolution remains in place because there is always hope for a better tomorrow. The word revolution itself has lost some of its fervor when multinationals present their products as revolutionary. Revolution is now posited as anything which brings about any change. Both the ideas of revolution and change have gone in the direction of choice, another favorite. Increasingly, the possibility of choice has been reduced to no choice at all. Choice is an idea, intrinsically linked to agency, where an individual has adequate information, reliable means, and the freedom to make decisions they feel is best for them. If this is limited to the realm of purchases for ease of argument, for most people, rejecting one option, trade, or product is supposed to leave the purchaser with the options of seeking something distinctly different. And sometimes this simply means placing one's resources into the hands of a trader that one believes in. However, the increasing muted mergers of businesses and corporations means that for many people, there is not much choice in what they're able to purchase. Even when they think they're exercising choice by moving to a different shop or choose to buy a different brand of item, corporate consolidation means they are not. So, When the major British supermarkets found themselves facing a fine for fixing the price of milk in 2007, they may have been surprised that their rather successful business model was being questioned. And yet, this revelation did not arouse the British public to vocally question other prices in the supermarket. After all, supermarkets announce on a regular basis that they challenge their competitors on quality and price. Some even offering to return the difference in price if a customer discovers that they could have purchased the item for less at another supermarket. Promises such as these lull the customer into a state of compliance, so that when news such as milk price collusion is released, there appears no reason to question the individual's ability to make a choice. It's as if nothing can unseat the notion people have that they are free to make choices, even reduced choice. The near absence of choice where technology is concerned increases the manufacturer's ability to control usage. The ability to control technology and its devices has deeper ramifications because the amount of time spent looking at a screen as against speaking to their neighbor is quite fundamental. The ability to control practically all the actions of an individual through a single device may be the fantasy of those who seek to control citizens' activities. If almost all communication takes place using a singular handheld device, then the transactions made are traceable. The encouragement towards digital written text as against verbal use also has its consequences. The encouragement in the form of reduced costs of sending text messages or using a service such as WhatsApp is worthy of note. In a country like South Africa, where the cost of data is simply prohibitive, telecommunication providers still find ways and means to offer people unlimited data to use Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, and a host of other similar services. The natural consequences of these offers is gravitation towards subsidized services. It would be counterintuitive not to. With geomapping built into most new phones, not only will the state be able to know what was communicated, it will also know when and where. Encouragement towards online shopping, detrimental to local shop and services, means spending patterns can also be tracked, managed, and manipulated. Hello tomorrow. IPsoft, a software company started in New York in 1998 and now based in India, is promising the world's most human artificially intelligent being called Amelia. They claim that Amelia is the most comprehensive AI platform on the market. She can increase the effectiveness of your operations by getting work done more effectively than ever before. The only way of assessing this claim is that Amelia will be more effective than a human being. IPsoft go on to explain that Amelia has intelligent understanding on their advertising website with Amelia understands the underlying meaning of your statements and can engage in fluid conversations. As she detects a customer's moods, she is able to adapt the comments of her responses and associated expressions to create a truly personal experience. End of quote. It is no accident that the word personal becomes an adjective, a way of having an experience, and the implied claim that Amelia is a person. The fear of being replaced by machines was once the domain of manual labor, such as warehouse workers replaced by automated arms and barcode reading scanners. But Amelia is not after heavy lifting. She's here to replace the very parts that most people identify as rendering them human, their brains and emotions, combining to become something close to consciousness. This is done through integration hub and dynamic process executions where, and I quote, Amelia is not confined to following a rigid linear process. Instead, she can mimic the human brain through spread activation. As a result, she can dynamically navigate business flows to complete end-to-end processes and interface directly with enterprise systems along the way. End of quote. Amelia is being offered as a replacement for office employees, and I can already hear the explanations to a workforce to justify the need to replace them with a machine. Well, a soft machine, but a machine nonetheless. The cost of the two together cannot be borne by the company. It would be one excuse or explanation. That Amelia will be introduced to assist, not replace. That Amelia is here to remove drudgery. That Amelia is everyone's friend. To the customer, well, in the beginning, the fact they are conversing with a machine will be hidden from them. The same way that call centers cited in other countries, with attendants given the right-sounding names, merely reading a script, were not initially announced until they were exposed for the exploitative mechanisms they were. Amelia, or whatever she will be called and voiced, will remain hidden until revealed or exposed. And then some companies might return to human beings, but most will not. Considering the cost of purchasing Amelia and the decimation of the infrastructure needed to maintain human employees, that would have already happened. By then, there will be no call centers or offices. A quick digression to look at the traditional components of a business enterprise, made up of 4 parts: land, plant, buildings, labor, and the entrepreneur. The traditional and dominant goal of a business was argued as being profit. These 4 parts are supposed to work together to meet the stated goal. It would appear the role of the entrepreneur is to extract as much as possible from the other 3. It is as if the entrepreneur only benefits from the profit. This is not seen as conflict. Labor is a component most likely to increase in cost. Land will eventually be purchased. Plants and buildings ostensibly pay for themselves as part of fixed and calculable infrastructure. The problem is labor. The transition from skilled human labor to cheap human labor to part mechanization and finally complete removal of human labor is a corporate wet dream. Current and emerging trends in technological developments, rate of adoption, and changes in working patterns are making this an increasing reality. Complaints against conditions in the so-called gig economy are but the latter end of disposing, or at least alienating responsibilities to labor, and the skills it uses to represent. The nub of the corporate argument seems to be that it is a skill that matters, and if a machine can execute the required skill at a lower cost, less supervision, and importantly, without questioning corporate ethos, then the machine will appear the better option. So welcome tomorrow. Bow out and watch Amelia do what you pride yourself in a personal manner, complete with facial expressions and nuance. She does not tire, does not seek change, and does not need you. And back to the commercial break. A look back in history. Between 1811 and 1816, there was a rebellion in Nottingham, England. The Luddites, as they were soon known, were weavers who objected to their skilled labor being undermined by automated textile machines, the loss of their livelihoods and well-being. The Luddites did not have anything against the machines, just what the owners of the factories were going to do with them. As an unskilled machinist would cost less than a skilled weaver, it would mean a reduction in pay or loss of their jobs. Their response was to smash the machines, as this would secure, they argued, their jobs. Potential queasiness at their violence against machinery and buildings will soon be balanced by the British government's response of making damages to machines a capital offence. They also sent in the army, all kinds of things. The days of the employer supplying all the machinery to produce what is needed is over. So the ability to smash and burn as a form of protest is limited. Nowadays, people work from their own homes, they provide their own machinery, and it is hard to burn what you have just paid for. And reliance on a single employer is deeply discouraged. The stock market is supposed to hold everyone's future, and even while it is blatantly untrue, large corporations are supposed to be the savior of the economy. Technology needs to be redefined as a mutable reality. At the moment, it is treated as an accomplished fact that has to be accepted as an endpoint of the best the human collective has to offer. This is stated as new technologies are touted as the accomplishments of the world's brightest and the finest, with this position of excellence being reinforced by the transfer of wealth into the hands of those that control these technologies, if the Forbes rich list is to be taken seriously. And I suggest you read it. You'll be amazed who's still on top of it all. Let's just say he created Microsoft. New Luddites will have to find ways to question the march of dehumanizing technology. It will need to be more than a series of demands made to corporations for greater involvement and a kinder attitude towards people and the planet. In the meantime, there has been a shift in the way that most people see technology. There is now the personalized dream to be part of a connected mass, defined by their own importance, controlled by their own devices within it. People now care if they have 1 million followers on Twitter, as it provides them with a position they can sell to those who want to manipulate said followers. Out of interest, I looked up the top 5 followers, the top 5 followed on Twitter. Seeking some understanding of the world I live in, I got the following. At number 5, it is Rihanna, with 80 million followers. Number 4 is Taylor Swift, with 85 million followers. Number 3 is Barack Obama, with 93 million followers, beaten by Justin Bieber, with 102 million followers at number 2. And at coveted number 1, it is Katy Perry, with 150 million followers. Thank you very much.